Alrighty then, so today Vern and I are making stuffed cabbage. We could not find a huge cabbage, so we're using two smaller ones that Vern has wallered out for me and made sure that they're level. And this is also where my water bath canners come in handy, in that I'm gonna slowly steam these cabbages throughout the day, and we make a fabulous horseradish sauce. It is so good. So I'm gonna grind my 1 pound ground pork through my little plastic pasta meat grinder. And I'm gonna grind again my 1 pound of ground beef. And then I'll come back and show you what our next step is. It ain't hard, it's just stuffing a cabbage. It's not difficult to do, just takes a little bit of time. So here is our ground pork and then our ground beef that I've run through. So that way it's ground twice. Alrighty then, we have assembled our ingredients, okay? And one of the best ingredients is I use my handy dandy little shredder grater, and I have grated, it's basically a large onion. This was 2 medium and 1 small onion, but the best ingredient ever that makes this rather magical is mace, M-A-C-E. And I've got 3/4 of a teaspoon. It is expensive and it's worth it. I've got 2 beaten eggs, and we will be adding milk, but first we're gonna mix this together. Then we're gonna cover this and set it in our refrigerator. Breadcrumbs will also go in here. And after we have stuffed the cabbage and steamed it in our water bath canner, making sure the cabbage is up off the bottom of the pot. We both like cabbage, and it is a groovy thing. Now we put about a cup of milk in here, and it will absorb this liquid as it sits in the refrigerator. It will not be a wet mess. And if I could tell you how nice it is to be back in my kitchen. After 4 months of working a full-time job, I have no words to express my joy. And the last 2.5 weeks of finishing out that winter full-time job, Vern and I got the cootie. Not the C word, not the flu. It was just a thing that swept through our little island with a cough and a cold. And if it were not for lack of energy, I'd have had none. So now that I am 66 and soon to turn 67, I have not gotten sick like that in my entire life. Because I've built up an immunity, because I'm elderly, to about everything that's been out there, including the big C. So, it feels good to feel good. And many of you have had the big C or had these things that have been going around. I am going to add the whole cup. You know how sick and tired of being sick and tired you have gotten. It ain't fun. Getting old is not for weenies. Getting sick is not fun at all. So that's about 3/4, a little bit more than 3/4 cups of plain breadcrumbs. Now, all we're gonna do is cover this with some cling film. All right, gonna cover this, get it in my refrigerator. It ain't hard. It ain't even hard to cook, it's just hard to video what you're cooking. Lose a clip, you're done. I gotta wash this first. So it turned out to be 2 pieces of cling film because cling film unhinges me. I do not understand how the container works. The stuff is absolute madness. I've tried the large plastic things that are reusable. I don't like them because they're hard to clean. Now I'm gonna sanitize my kitchen, that little mincer, and I wore gloves because that was raw pork. Ain't nobody got time for that raw pork thing smushing around your kitchen. So I love pork, but I'm gonna sanitize everything, including my camera, after this. Be safe in your kitchen, oh yeah. So I'm going to attempt to do this in a way that I do not deafen you. This is our larger water bath canner, and I have the rack on the bottom. But I took some of my trusty, rusty canning jar rings, and I have tied them together with a string so that lets me add a little bit more water and peppercorns into the bottom of this. Then, when we stuff the cabbage, we set it in here, and it is raised off the bottom of the pot. And Vern makes little hats. And then he ties this together with a string. And it'll sit on my stove, add some humidity to our room, which we could actually use. And it will steam for a couple hours. So here is my large water bath canner. And if you can see where I have the water and some peppercorns too. And now I'm gonna stuff the cabbage with that mixture. So here's our mixture, and we are gonna stuff it in one of our cabbages into that little wallered out area Vern did. And you can pack it in here, smush it down, and then we put a little hat on it. Vern ties it up with a string. Oh yeah. So I want to make sure I push it into the cavities of this cabbage. I prefer to do that with a spoon. So we are going to be able to stuff them both. Bonus perk, I like it. Well, this turned out surprisingly perfect. That is the first cabbage we did, and there's our second one. So that is pretty cool. And just to show you how that beef and pork absorb the liquid, the milk, the breadcrumbs, the eggs that we put in, it's all taken care of there. So we're gonna put a little lid on these. I'll call it a hat. Alrighty, so we got their little hat on. And then you take some of your larger cabbage leaves and cover over that little hat you put on it, because remember, these are gonna steam. We've got a loop of string to be able to pull them out. And this one as well. And again, it sits very firm and very flat. You could just stuff cabbage leaves and steam them. We prefer the whole stuffed cabbage. It's cute, it's delicious, I dig it. So that's what we're doing. So now I'm gonna drop them in the pots, get those steaming away at a low boil underneath it with all the black peppercorns. So our first cabbage is here. We take off the outer leaves that we covered this little hat with. And of course the string. And now that little hole there is where I dug in to make sure it was cooked. Oh, ho, ho. That is a beautiful thing up in there. Oh my goodness, yeah. Let's take you over here. Don't do anything stupid. That is a pretty thing. Gonna slice it up. So here is our first one. I didn't realize it'd fill up a whole dinner plate, but whoop, there it is. So because I am the cook, I am gonna grab me one now just for a little snacky snack. Put myself some horseradish sauce on this and find my happy place. Oh yes, I am. So there is my glorious, thick horseradish sauce, which I am just gonna get a piece of this first, because you know I can. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Worth the string, worth it all. That is absolutely delightful. And then I've got cabbage just simmering away on the stove. Nothing is wrong with the cabbage. That is a round your slices. It's still delicious. I love this recipe. Oh yeah, I gotta go because I'm eating this whole thing right now. This is my pre-dinner snack. God, I love being an adult. Here is our second one, and I will tell you, I have an inner fat girl. I always have had one inside me. I do not let her loose until it comes to this. I've already eaten 3 large pieces of this with horseradish sauce on it. And when my cabbage sits there after boiling a while, I will put some horseradish sauce on that and eat that later tonight for a snack. But this is a beautiful thing, and I love it.